Good morning and welcome to Thursday, February 8th on Radio Row. Here today with Allison to talk about tackling hunger. Allison, you know this is a cause that I'm personally passionate about. I feel honored to serve on your board, and I'm so grateful for the work that you're doing to really truly tackle food insecurity, not only in Vegas, but in communities across the country. Tell us the problem, tell us the solution.
Yeah, well, the solution is pretty complex. And if we had the solution and it was easy, it would probably already be done. But at the same time, it is a pretty significant issue right now. And it's not just about food, it's about the right kind of food. It's about nutrition security and making sure that everyone has access, equal access to the right kinds of food so that they can be healthy. So if you think about the problem, let's put it in the context of the Super Bowl, since that's where we are. And that's our name, our original name is the Super Bowl of Caring. So if you think about the number of people who are reportedly food insecure right now, that is equivalent to more than 1,900 Allegiant stadiums full of people. Just think of 65,000 people in the stadium. Now multiply that by 1,900, and that's how many people in our country right now. If you want to just talk about the children, because for children to be without adequate nutrition, that's a completely different problem because now that's going to impact their overall health and their ability to grow to their potential. 200 of those stadiums would be full. So when we think of the Super Bowl this weekend and we watch it and we look at all the people in the stands, multiply that by 200, and that's just the children who are impacted by this. And the solution is not easy, but it is community by community, meaning every community has to understand the significance of their problem and they have to be invested in solving the problem and knowing how they can do that. That's why our programs are designed to engage all activities in the community. So businesses, churches, schools, social organizations, they can all participate in fun events and make it fun to fundraise for a local charity and open the door for those relationships to exist between that entity, the business or the school or the church with that local food charity so that they can be a support network all year round. Tackling hunger doesn't just happen one time a year. It needs to happen all year round.
And I know you have a pivotal event each year. It's the signature event of Tackle Hunger. It's the Super Bowl of Caring. Tell everybody listening, how they can participate in a Super Bowl of Caring event this year or how they can get one started at the last minute.
Oh, for sure. Well, Super Bowl of Caring was started back in 1990. So we're right up against our 35th anniversary. And it was started with one prayer at a church back in the day with, as we watch this Super Bowl football game, help us be mindful of those without a bowl of soup to eat. And that started a movement, really, that has allowed 300,000 individual groups participate in an event on or around the big game that encourages people to think about those without a bowl of soup to eat. It's the coldest time of the year. It's after Christmas. People aren't thinking about giving. So it's a perfect opportunity to use something fun. The competition allows people to say, hey, there's two different teams competing. Vote for your favorite team by making a donation. It's super fun and it's easy to do. You can literally have a Super Bowl party and ask people to bring a can of soup for everyone watching the big game. The whole Tackle Hunger challenge that we have, and it's simple yet significant. What if everyone watching the game gave just $1 or one can of food to a local food charity? It's very simple. It's a very easy ask. $6 billion will be spent this weekend on food and drink and entertainment. $1 shouldn't be that hard. If you think about 110 million people watching the game, they said upwards to 160 million this year. That would mean almost 500 million meals in one day.
Yeah, the numbers are staggering, right? And it's almost heartbreaking as Kayla and I travel around mega sporting events, right? You look at what's going to go on here in Vegas the next 4 nights between all of the parties, the game itself, the amount of food not only that is consumed, excess consumption, but the amount of food that's wasted. It breaks our hearts when we go to events and we see trays of cookies and baskets of sandwiches and other things thrown away. How do we, as we look at it and you're fighting that sort of one can of soup at a time, but there's so much opportunity that I think is there for us to do more.
Yes, that's true. And one of the things that we're doing now, because we've kind of branched out to be called Tackle Hunger, as opposed to just the Super Bowl like carrying, because there is a huge opportunity here to use that local effort and that local emphasis to really bring in some information that can help that local community to do better at the food waste piece as well. If you consider the idea of using emerging technologies to help us understand where is healthy food access, where is there not healthy food access in a community, and then if someone, an event, grocery store, a restaurant, anyone who has food, if they have extra, could we use emerging technologies, artificial intelligence to help people connect the dots better? There's lots of people out there working on that, but there's not a consolidated effort. It's just kind of like the internet right now. You look at the internet and you Google something and you're not sure if it's right. Well, you got to make sure if you want to connect A and B, you got to make it easy. You got to make it something that anyone can do fast and that they will be connected to a local charity that can come pick that food up immediately. We're working with some universities in Texas right now to work on that, right there to understand, number one, the data around healthy food access and the health disparities that are connected to that, and the food waste problem that absolutely is a challenge because it's a lot easier to just throw it away. And that's what happens across many, many states. There's only a couple states right now that have legislation that actually forces events like this to have to prove how they donated that food. And that's where they're getting organized around it. Otherwise, there really isn't a concerted effort out there to try to work on food waste. So we're kind of in the middle of that. We literally work with 30,000 food charities that benefit from our campaigns. And then as far as participation, it'll be upwards to 6,000 this year of groups who will participate and help their local charity just from the Super Bowl at carrying event.
Allison, let's do this. Tackle Hunger is nationwide, successfully creating a dent in a monumental problem. You're doing important work, and you couldn't do it without some of the preferred partners of Tackle Hunger. Who are really some of the key organizations, people that have really been coming along to make a difference? As a conscious consumer, I want to support those groups and those people. Who should we be supporting?
Yeah, well, the Super Bowl at carrying has always been a bit of a challenging effort to continue because the business model is not really very successful. The whole idea of let's build this idea and grow it and um, recruit groups from across the country to have events that 100% they will donate directly in their local community so it impacts them. And we want to live into that historic perspective, right? But we have to have partners to help us to make that all happen. And then also to help us to continue to grow the technology that we have, like our Tackle Hunger map, and also just the work that we're doing now with the emerging technologies and helping with that research and being kind of an industry expert, actually almost a coalition leader for local food charities that are small. They don't have any advocates that are out there saying we're going to be here to help you and you can trust us and we're here to help. So the partners we have right now NFL alumni. We have the chapters across the U.S. are participating and helping to grow the effort. They're doing a couple golf tournaments now to help support our work specifically. And then in addition to that, Sports Philanthropy Network is helping also to build some of those bridges, which we appreciate. And then as far as our map goes, we have partnered over the years with folks at the Department of Defense, the Joint Artificial Intelligence Center. They helped us build that to begin with. And Dell Technologies, along with Northern Command, is still using our data to help in emergency situations like natural disasters, hurricanes especially, where you've got flooding and you've got problems making sure that people in those communities have access to food. We have that network. We can help them boots on the ground to help change that dynamic. And we've been doing that for a while. So there's some of the partners that we work with, along with, again, the network of churches and schools that we're helping put food pantries in the schools. Those are also all groups who care about what we do.
And maybe in this last minute, let's talk about the concept of weekend food insecurity, right? Because the schools are doing a huge part. Thank you, Michelle Obama, for putting in breakfast and lunch for kids. But we have a gap from Friday at 3 o'clock to Monday morning at 7. How can Tackle Hunger partner with schools, partner with regular moms and dads and grandmas and aunties to make a difference in the weekend?
Right. Well, and I was just talking to a teacher last week who is helping to put a food pantry in their school. And the reason the teachers and the counselors have decided to take this upon themselves is because the teacher said, well, I had a student who put mashed potatoes in his pocket. And I was helping to clean him up. And I kept asking myself, I wonder why he did that. So I just asked him, I said, why did you put mashed potatoes in your pocket? Why did you decide to do that? And he said to her, I always put my leftover food in my pocket to take it home to my little brother. He doesn't go to school. He doesn't have food. And immediately she said to herself, what I need to do is make sure that our food pantry has adequate stuff so that this child doesn't feel like they need to put mashed potatoes in their pocket. And that is happening across the country. That is not an anomaly. That is happening. 200 of those stadiums full of kids. The Tackle Hunger map, actually, we have a flyer with a QR code, and that goes up in schools, and the counselors have access to that, where families can then find where local food charities are to help them. And once they find those opportunities for getting some help, all of a sudden now that opens the door for them. When our schools are putting pantries in, they're using our programs to sustain those pantries. On Monday, I'll be in Houston. We helped Houston ISD start a pantry program. It's called the Super Pantry Program, SOUPER. And they have 90 pantries now after 3 years. And they have one school that does a campaign. They raise 90,000 pounds of food for that pantry. And then the school district leverages that to go out and get match grants from banks and local businesses. And that will help run those pantries for months. That's what I'm talking about as it relates to our ability to magnify. We can take $1 donated to us and make it $18 for food charities. So we're looking for people to come alongside and help us continue to grow that.
Well, I'm going to be vulnerable and say I'm sitting here crying on Radio Row with a personal plea. We live in America. No child should be putting mashed potatoes in their pocket for their little brothers and sisters at home to have food. So I want to say thank you for sharing that. I also want to say for shame on every person who has even enough not to lean in and make a difference, whether it's a can of soup or $1. I really believe that everybody can do something. And God bless the person who gives $1 or a can of soup. But let's not let another day go by where little children are shoving mashed potatoes in their pockets for their siblings. right?
Alison, thank you so much for joining us here on Radio Row at Super Bowl 58. It's so important to talk about these issues. We appreciate your partnership with Tackle Hunger and with the Super Bowl of Caring. We're proud to partner with our event, Super Bowl of Caring Live, next year, and we look forward to finding ways to continue to work with Tackle Hunger throughout the year, because as every community we go to, sadly, this is an issue that touches lives in every community that we visit. And each one of us alone are kind of helpless to solve the problem, but we can each be a part of the solution. So, on behalf of Kayla Bradham, I'm Roy Kessel with Sports Philanthropy Network. I want to thank Alison Reese for joining us today live at Radio Row. For all our viewers and listeners, thank you for being part of our community and reminding you to live generously. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.